that the training was okay, it was necessary, and the 3 days workshop was very helpful. But this is something that we have been engaged with over the years. The 3 days workshop was just to train participants on the recommendations of the TRC, especially those ones that we expect the TRC recommendations are supposed to be implemented, like the War Crimes Court. We've gone through the process of engaging with citizens, who's making some plans to engage legislature to get them to want to increase the political will as it relates to the implementation of the War Crimes Court. And one way we feel we can do that is to get women involved. If you look around the street corners today, you find that the issue of TRC is the song is being sang only in the mouth of men. Yeah, men. Women, not many women involved in the process. So this workshop and training, you look around the room, you see a lot of women, right, from different civil society organizations. So we want to get women to be a part of the process. That's what this training is about.
So why is it important that women, not the men, most of those who were participants of the civil crisis, which led to the bringing of the TRC recommendation, many of them were men. Why women want to be involved with this process?
That's a very good question. Yes, the perpetrators were men. The alleged
many of them were men.
Exactly. The alleged perpetrators were all men or Muslim men. However, those abuse, the violations, women were the victims. Women were the victims. You have a lot of women who were raped, who turned to widows because their husbands died in the process, whose children were killed before them. So women were the victims. But now you find people don't want to take ownership of the process. People don't want to come and be a part of the process. And that's key. That's an issue. If we say we want true reconciliation, we need to face the fact that we can't dodge this War Crimes Court. It has to be established. It has to be done because it will amaze you to know that even some people that were accused, some people names that were in the recommendation, names that were called at the TRC, you will come to find out that they are even innocent. So until this TRC, the War Crimes Court, can be established for due process, for people to go and speak up, witnesses take the stand, you got to say what it is. Years passing by. Since the TRC, since the war, we went 50 years war, and since the TRC was established and these recommendations came out, look how many years going. People are aging, people are even dying. I think the sooner is the better. People have to come up. Who's supposed to be vindicated, who's supposed to face the due process of law, face the due process of law. And let us reconcile the country once and for all. I think there's a need for us to do that. There is a need. And we cannot do this without the women. The women were the ones who were marginalized, who were abused, who were slaughtered, who were, raped. They were made homeless. So women have to get engaged. They have to take part in the process.
So why is that within the recommendation of the TRC, you have a lot of things that government is supposed to do with the exception of the War Crimes Court in Liberia? Why is it that everybody focus has been drawn to just the War Crimes Court?
In everything, the TRC recommendations are many. There are many recommendations, as it is the Palabama discussion, and too many other things. Setting up a memorial for past presidents, for people who died, all that stuff, all those things were in the recommendations. But the essence of the essence of the War Crimes Code is much grievous in that those who violated the rights of people must face justice. That's the only way we can have the palaver discussion. That's the only way we can come under one umbrella of unity. That's the only way people can see and say, hey, you know what? This happened, but the perpetrator face the due process of law.
So are you saying now?
So until we can do that, all of the other recommendations, they will not be ignored. Definitely they are not going to be ignored. But this is the first step. I believe this is the first step. I was a little girl when the war was 99 came. See how old I am now. I'm saying this, I mean, that's true being said, time is fast spent. If this government and the people of Liberia have to be taken seriously around the world, in the eyes, in the faces of our counterparts in other countries, we have to get up for this less aggressive spirit. This spirit of just leaving things and, saying, let it go, and whatever, and people just go impunity with all paying for things that they do. And you see people, it's just one crime after the other, one crime after the other, and people just feel they can just do things and walk away with it. What method
do you think this time around you use for your right to be held at the war camp?
Well, like I said to you, I have been a part of this process. Even the UPR report, we work along with other teams, civil society, we came together and we work on it. But like I'm saying to you, we want to get more women on board. That's the essence of this project. The 3 days workshop that just ended today, the main thing is, hey, we look around, we see that just few women form part of this process. Where are the women? Where are the women of Lima County? Where are the women of Home County? Where are the women of even the Mosurado County? Where a lot of these damages were done. These crimes were committed. Where are the people of Liberia? Where are the women? Where are the women? We're not seeing much women in the space. We are not even hearing women talking about it. So we feel by engaging the women, getting more women to come on board, anything women want to get. When women get involved in the process, we get more and more women. We get to draw the attention of our duty bearers, stakeholders, to take necessary actions.
So to narrow a little bit to this project that Wangoso and other civil society organizations are implementing, are you looking at some specific number of recommendations within relating to, for example, gender, or what specific, if you are to point at?
There are many other recommendations, like I said to you, but for now, our key focus is on establishing the war crimes code. Let us not drift away. We have a lot of things on our desk.
Okay.
We have we have the documents, like we have, you saw the booklet, the huge
over
booklet.
200 pages.
Exactly. That booklet is on my desk. We have a copy of it. We have the soft copy. We have the hard copies. We are on top of our games as it relates to those recommendations. So we are only taking it step by step. We don't want to lose focus right now, so we are just adding our voices to the many voices already out there to say, hey, we need the war crimes code to be established.
So lastly, from my end, what extra are you taking home today as an individual who participate in the TV worship?
Well, I'm taking a lot home, and fortunately for me, I'm not here alone. I'm here with a couple of my staff who also privileged to access the document in details, so they are here, and I'm sure they have gotten a lot from here, and we've gotten enough. We just get strengthened. As we strengthen our staff, we strengthen other people out there, we get more strengthened to know that people are getting interested in the TRC. Young people are getting involved, women are getting involved. The hall is so crowded today. Yesterday, imagine, usually when you're having training workshops, the last day don't get so crowded like this. But see how this hall is so crowded. You got more people here. That suggests that we're getting more people involved. More women are getting interested in the process. So that is important.
The implementation of this process, some critics of the war crimes, war and economic crimes code establishment. One argument has been the cost attached. The cost of establishing this code is much expensive. Why don't Liberians focus on development? but rather they are talking about a quote that maybe to just try out 1 or 2 individuals, you're going to be talking about almost $100 million US.
Okay, so you see, that's the war, that's the economic part of it, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking war crimes court.
Yeah.
And speaking of the economic part, let me just throw a little light on that. I will not go into details. Liberia, we know that a bulk of our resources has been mismanaged and embezzled, right? With corruptions and all of that, it's going to increase. As a matter of fact, there's a statistics that came out that's so ugly for Liberia as it relates to corruption. And if we can invest our money or we do money for other stuff, we must be able to sacrifice money.
Are you speaking of the MCC report?
No, not necessarily the MCC. Take for example, the president just going for a climate change conference. He went with 60 delegates. Well, his delegation was 60 people in number. I seem to be corrected.
So money.
So what I'm trying to say, if we can spend money on those things, look at the budget. We just had a gender, what we call gender budgeting training in Lima County the other day. Trying to review the budget. How much do you have? The gender mainstream, when you mainstream the budget, how much do we have there for women? How much money? Look at the gas bill for the legislature. It's so huge. Just for gas.
Yeah,
and most of the legislature live right in central Monrovia. Less than 20-30 minutes drive. And you're getting out huge gas tips. Money going. So why wouldn't we use some of this money for the right thing?
So money in short, money should be the problem should be obstacle for the establishment of this court.
Money absolutely shouldn't be obstacle. You know, we have our foreign counterparts, we have our allies, there are other people who are willing to sponsor this process. The moment Liberia say, hey, we have sent this resounding, yes, we are prepared, funding will come. We know that. Funding will come. So money shouldn't be the issue. That's what I'm saying. That's the economic part of it. Okay? War and economic crimes courts.
So with this court, we think development can come in smoothly.
First thing first, it don't make no sense for somebody who's been abused, nationalized, and didn't get justice to come back to this country and invest. With the mindset that, hey, I got my master's degree. Since 1990, I ran out of this country. My parents got killed in front of me. Or maybe my father, who was the only supportive parent, got killed in front of us. Fortunately, we got resettled in the foreign land. We have graduated, we have gone and achieved a whole lot. Right? Now that we have achieved a lot, how do we come back to a country that our very parents got killed and we never got justice? How do we come back to invest? So let's just look at one of that, right? How do you get these people to come back, these children, these young people, to come back and invest in this country? Reconcile the country, investment will come. People will take us serious. Investors will take us serious. Because when an investor knows that they have a good justice system here, you know, I mean, you won't even have to request for them to come. They will come. Because people know that you have a system that is accountable, a justifiable system, that justice is done to anyone who commit a crime in this country.
So you want to attribute to the underdevelopment of the lack of justice?
Not only the lack of justice, the lack of system. Let us fix the system. The entire system is broken down. The justice system is broken down, the health system is broken down, the education system is broken down. The system is broken down, there's no system.
In this corner, this regime is happening or has been happening?
Absolutely no.
This regime?
It only got worse during this regime, but trust me, it's been of old. That's an old age problem. The development, our junior bearers lack the political will to carry on development. And don't get me wrong, this government has done their own part, right?
Yeah.
This government, you see the thing they call leadership? When you are in leadership position, you come as a leader to this country and you gotta set what did they say to themselves, what is a priority, what do you think is good, what legacy they want to leave behind, and that's what they follow. So I always say to people, to whom much is given, much is expected. But if people can take on the responsibility to know that, hey, the people of Liberia have given us leadership, they trusted us, let us prioritize them. And then you will do everything, all of what it takes to set. You cannot just develop roles and you say, hey, I've developed roles. You cannot say you will do a haphazard, leadership or development and then you want everybody to share you. But notwithstanding, we do appreciate it. We get a thumbs up to this government, don't get me wrong. We gave a thumbs up to the government for those things that they consider a priority, that they have thrown their weight behind. Okay. But there is still a lot more needs to be done.
So, lastly from my end, if we are to grade this government, if we are to grade this government in terms of rule of law, as compared to the past government, what would be your grade?
In terms of rule of law?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a politician here. I'm from civil society, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not, as an individual, I would not put a grade for it, but I would tell you there is still a lot more. Not much has been done, and we expect more. If this government has to go for second term, there should be a lot more. They have a lot to do.
Thank you. The name again?
Maima Robinson, from Women's Action for Rights and Empowerment.
Thank you so much. My name is Laura Beekeeper. I'm the Executive Director for Women Empowerment Forum. And I'm here today because I was sub-granted by Wongoso to work on this TRC recommendation that talks about the establishment of a war crime court. I would say, first of all, before you work on a project, you have to believe in that project. And from time immemorial, I've always said that it is right that we bring the war crime court. Reason be that if you want a total peace for a nation, people have to be counseled, people have to be prosecuted, justice has to be served. When everybody take responsibility for their crimes, then we will have total peace in Liberia. When you travel all over countries, you see the level of development that the people have. You come to Liberia, you stay back because our nation is still going through crisis, because we have had peace, our land. The amount of blood that was shared here, this land has not been at peace. We need justice for the people that were killed innocently.
So without justice, you think our development won't be enhanced?
It won't be enhanced because the mind of the people, before you get development, you have to develop the mind of the people. When I am traumatized, I have killed a lot of people. Do you think I will always, even if I bring in development, it will be development to protect my crimes? It will be to protect the crimes I have committed, that nobody should reach my level. So that's what I believe. So justice is the key to development for Nigeria.
Man, Laura, there are so many aspects of this TRC report. For example, they talk about providing reparation to victims. They talk about Palavo Hall. They talk about building of a memorial or a monument to memorialize those who were killed. Why are you joining other group to mainly focus on the establishment of the code? Do you think all of these are not important portion of the recommendations?
All of these are also important. I would say very important. Like I said from the beginning of the interview, that our nation has to be at peace. If we as a citizen can look at our leaders and murder them, it means we have committed a crime, because there's nobody that get into leadership position if God do not agree. So these people are in a place of authority because God placed them there. So committing a crime against them, it means you have committed a crime against God. So by right, we have to appease these people, then our nation will be a tomb. So building these memorial sites and renaming the memorial day, I also support that. So all these recommendations I see it as very important, including the establishment of the court which will bring justice.
Why are you taking back to your institution?
Why I'm taking back to my institution is the tools of advocacy that I will use to implement. Actually, I was selected to work in NIMA. And we all know NIMA, when you talk about work around court, there are certain people in power feel offended. But with the tools that we are going to use, we are going to tell the people there are misconceptions about the whole TRC report that have been publicized by the people. Like we talked to a man the other day, he said, if we bring the establishment of the work around court, it will open new wounds. So I don't believe in the establishment of the work around court. And that I do not also believe. So if you want healing, you got to express the way you feel. You got to express your desires or your hurts. Like when your heart is broken, I believe if you cry it out, you feel much better. If you speak about it, you feel much better. But if you bury it in, you will put yourself into a position where you too will become a perpetrator of the same crime that was committed against you.
Laura, do you think those who perpetrated some of the heinous crimes in our country, some of them are getting older, we should rush with this whole code establishment?
No, anything about justice, I don't see it as rushing.
Are we being delayed? Can we say it has been delayed?
People believe that it has been delayed, but I believe that there is time for everything. So I believe that now is the time, because this is the time that people feel that it should be done. Because over the time from Madam Sally period, we have been pushing for this thing and it has not been working. So I believe it's the right time. Anytime that something is being established, it's the right time.
The president has said that he's been implementing other aspects of this. So the court establishment issue shouldn't be the only key process about this whole TRC recommendation.
My dear, why should we select portions of the recommendation to implement? I believe we should implement every portion. Then we'll get peace. Because these people are professional people that sat down and got the views of people that were affected. So they came out with this recommendation. So there is none that is less and none that is more. So all is important that we all work on every recommendation that we're making in the TRC recommendation.
Okay, Madam, your parting comment, as you say, legal, your parting comment.
I would still say, if we do not get justice for what happened in Liberia, we'll remain in a cycle. So I want the Liberian people to join us and push for the establishment of the work around court. And there's one misconception that those that needed the child soldiers, they were children, they didn't know what they were doing. According to the TRC report, these people will not be prosecuted. So those that were mature and knew what they were doing, it's better to even appease themselves. It's better you go and testify of what you did. If you receive punishment, it's better you receive it and be free. It will release your spirit from every crime that you have committed. Thank you so much.
My name is Nyakun Freeman. Nyakun is my first name and Freeman is my last name. I happen to be the research focused person and rapporteur for this 3-day capacity building training on the TRC reports. So thank you to Mongo Saw, which happen to be the Women NGO Secretary of Liberia, which happen to be the organizers of this all-important workshop. When I was hired by the lead consultant, which happen to be Antoinette Talare-Wise, former commissioner at the Independent National Human Rights Commission, who served as a facilitator for this 3-day workshop. Within the project documents, the aim of this workshop is to build the capacity of women CSO, to advocate for the TRC report. Remember, the TRC was established in 2003-2004 after the Accra Comprehensive Peace Accord, and they worked for 3 years and made a final reports and recommendations to the government of Liberia. But since the submission of these reports or these recommendations, there haven't been any implementations. we realized that these things have been placed in the committee room. So this workshop was organized to train people in the areas of the TRC report and the recommendations, to advocate, monitor for the implementations of the TRC report, especially women CSO, the civil society of women organizations.
The government of Liberia have been somehow implementing other aspects of the recommendations. There are several recommendations. While Wangoso and other CSO, women CSOs, are mainly focused on this establishment of the war crimes code.
To end the culture of impunity, we realize in our country that the culture of impunity, when the Liberian government don't look at the recommendation, within the TRC reports of recent, we have been reading it, but when I was hired as a research-focused person and then a rapporteur for this workshop, when you look within the TRC report, you realize there are many things in the TRC report besides war crime code. And when these recommendations are implemented to its number, you realize, my brother, will have a good Liberia. Even within the report, there are portions of the TRC report that made recommendations to the area of establishing a commission for historians to teach Liberian history. You realize that most of our people, especially most of our young people, are not educated to the culture of the history of this country. Even economic recommendations, even recommendations to empower women, the recommendations on reparations. There were a series of recommendations. TRC report. So when these recommendations are implemented, we have the culture to end impunity and also to have a free Liberia that people will live not with that negative perceptions about the past 14 years violence, but to live in a culture of peace and unity.
There are many critics of this whole TRC recommendation implementation process. They have been saying that when it comes to the establishment of the code, is a very much is an expensive venture, especially constituting a code that will prosecute people. If, for example, you're going to take almost $100 million, you're going to need almost $50 to $75 million to, for example, try 3 to 4 persons who may be found liable.
The situation is about the Liberian people. The Liberian people, the government of Liberia should just be willing to implement the recommendations. But when it comes to the issue of sponsorship, I don't see sponsorship be a problem. Because when you look at the TRC process, when the TRC process started, when we read the history of the TRC, there were some difficulties in terms of getting funding to continue the process. But international companies came in. They had other people that gave money. Once these recommendations are to be implemented, you have support. You have support from the UN. You have support from other regional, international bodies. So the issue is just about the Liberian government agreeing that we should establish J code to end the culture of impunity, my brother. You won't even realize where the support will start coming from.
People are saying that such a man should rather go to building roads or other development initiatives instead prosecuting people.
Prosecution will end the culture of impunity, but besides the issue of prosecution, there are a lot of recommendations that made to impact our lives in that TRC. Like I said, you won't realize the essence of the report. When you read through the report, you realize that besides war crime, there are many issues that really impact our lives. Besides the issue of war crime code, but we must establish war crime code to end the culture of impunity.
So with impunity, you think development will be stored somehow?
Oh yeah, we need justice. We actually need justice for our people. Realizing that when you read the TRC people, you realize the prosecution will start from 1979 to 2003. So it starts from 1979, prior 1979 to 2003, because there were many human rights abuses and other things that were created during this period.
So what sort of methods after this workshop? What are some of those methods you think you're going to be using to appease maybe where those civil society organizations are going to be working so that people can understand why it takes to agree to the implementation of those reports?
In the area of advocacy, like we realize there have been both national and international advocacies on the TRC recommendation. Even the UN, all the regional bodies have been asking, where is the TRC recommendations? What happened in the TRC recommendation be implemented? So we hope and pray that participants that participated from various CSO across the country will use the knowledge they acquire here to do advocacy, the continuous advocacy on it.
Thank you so much. Your name again?
And I appreciate the time. The name remains Yakun Freeman.